This is the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I have got a guest to my immediate left. Could you tell me your name and what you do, please?
Yes, my name is Caitlin Cook, and I'm a comedian and a musician and a visual artist. I do a lot.
You do many
Yes.
you do a lot of things, according to your website, because you do visual artists as well, and comedy, and your show is called The Writing on the Stall.
Yes, and so it's a good combination of the lots of things that I do. It's a comedy show, it's a one-woman musical, I play guitar in it, I sing, and all of the lyrics and all the songs are from bathroom graffiti that I've been photographing for many years, and they're projected behind me, so there's a visual element as well.
How did you decide to start this show?
Good question. Before I got over my very debilitating stage fright and became a performer again, I was an art history student, and I became very obsessed with bathroom graffiti, specifically just because I was I graded against the pretentiousness of the art history world. And I found a piece of graffiti that said, since writing on toilet walls is neither for critical acclaim nor financial reward, it is the purest form of art to discuss. And that just broke my brain in this way, and I began thinking more about bathroom graffiti deeply. I began photographing it, and eventually I wrote the first song of the show called The Purest Form of Art. And it just blew up in this way. I saw audiences' faces light up. They would share their own pictures of bathroom graffiti with me after the song. And I just realized, wow, I have a million more pictures. I could write a whole musical. So that was the start of it all.
So, when it came to writing the actual musical, where did it go? Like, what's the weirdest place it went? And was there anything you saw that was like, maybe not you, I'll not put you in?
I mean, it's gone through so many iterations. I brought the show to Fringe in 2022 as a work in progress. I've toured it around a lot. There have been songs that were in the show originally that are not anymore. It's really taken on a variety of different forms and shapes. And certainly there's one song in the show that's probably, I think it's the newest song of the show. That being said, it's still a couple years old at this point. But it's called Thank God for Sluts. And I didn't think the show was missing anything until I realized, what about all the graffiti that I don't photograph because I don't find it interesting? But it's the sort of like bullying, awful, it's almost like the hate comment kind of graffiti. And I realized that I needed to write that one. And I didn't want to at first because I don't want people to have to see that when they go into a dive bar bathroom anyway. I didn't want people to have to be attacked with that in the show, I guess. But it also felt like the show called for a broad range of graffiti and that I needed to find a place for that as well. And eventually I worked it in a way where it becomes this sort of empowering, I can write on the walls myself kind of song. But certainly, the show has gone through very many iterations, and I've made a lot of edits, specifically with this run too, because I had to then crunch it back down to an hour-long show for the Fringe, where it was running maybe like an hour 15 at theaters.
Was it painful to cut out any of the songs?
It was. One of my favorite songs is no longer in the show. It's called Good Luck Out There Human, and it's all the sad, poetic, poignant things that people write. And it's still really beautiful. I'd like to work it back into the show at some point when I have a bit more time on stage, but it didn't... it sort of felt like it was sitting in this lull, and I really wanted to keep the energy moving, especially at Fringe when people are sitting in hot rooms and seeing show after show after show. I just felt like I needed to keep the energy up.
Now, you've probably been asked this a million times, and I'm going to ask it 1,000,001. You travelled all over the world. How does graffiti compare to country, from state to state, from America to Scotland?
Yeah, good question. I guess I know most about graffiti in the UK and US because I lived in the UK for a while, and because I've been at Fringe. I would say that you guys over here tend to paint over your graffiti more quickly, so I will find less of it. That being said, there's still a lot of great graffiti, and it tends to be similar. It's uplifting things, it's political things, it's silly things, it's sort of classic bathroom graffiti lines. And then in the U.S., it's just more prevalent, I think, especially I live in New York City, so it's everywhere. And then I feel very lucky in that my following has kind of blown up, and I now have people sending me graffiti from everywhere and translating it for me too. So like when I was traveling in Europe, I might see graffiti in bathrooms, but I didn't know what it said. And now I have like German fans sending me stuff, and fans in Thailand sending me stuff, and it's really quite cool to see. But the one thing that I think is really interesting across the board is that in all these different cultures and different languages and different alphabets, overall, everyone is kind of writing the same things. It's a very communal human experience.
And what is that thing?
Yeah, it's there's sort of just the confessional that person needs to write something on the wall type of thing. There's the tropes of like, here I sit brokenhearted. There's a political thing. There's a lot of, Trump 2024 or fuck Trump kind of thing. Depending on which country you're in, there's a lot of sort of political graffiti in the UK as well. But it just seems to be people wanting to share a little bit of themselves, and I find that very intriguing. Why is it that we're anonymous and in a safe space, but also a quite vulnerable space, that we feel the need to put our mark on it?
It's a very captive audience.
Yes.
When you go and find some graffiti.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I was thinking about that because last Fringe I had a flyer start to put up my posters in the bathrooms, and a lot of people, I'd ask the audience after, how did you find out about my show? And they said, I saw your poster in the loo. And I realized then you are getting a very captive audience. They're sitting, they're taking a moment to themselves, and they're reading what's around them. Yeah, very intriguing.
I'd like to take it back a little bit to you being an art history major. Yes. Some of the drawings that you've encountered over the years, graffiti seems to be almost the universal way of drawing in the original kind of art form. Now, without going too deep into it, because I know nothing about art history, is there a kind of correlation between graffiti and the history of graffiti?
Yeah, I actually do talk about this in the show as well, because graffiti is the oldest form of art. We have a lot of like cave paintings, and from Pompeii, where there was the volcanic explosion, it preserved a lot of the graffiti that was on the walls. And you will find that people, even back then, wrote kind of similar things to what we write now. And in general, I go, this is the oldest form of art. It's often near the like little shit potholes as well. So you go, this is bathroom graffiti that's happening. And I even go in the show, I show some slides of like Neanderthals writing on walls 64,000 years ago. It's the oldest form of art, and it's so cool. And I find it fascinating that for some reason in modern day society, a lot of us don't consider it art or don't see the historical significance. Even the people writing it don't necessarily consider themselves artists. They're just sort of doodling or passing the time. But I find the history of it very fascinating, and I like made very sure to work it into the show because I think that is a big part of it.
In 65,000 years, when we're all gone and the cockroaches have evolved and they're digging up the remains of our society, what do you think they will make of our graffiti from today?
I don't know. I wonder how much of it will be preserved because, again, it's such an ephemeral art form as well. It's painted over, or buildings are, destroyed or remodeled, and we're just so lucky that with Pompeii there was this volcanic explosion and we're able to see some of it. But yeah, I wonder if it will make any sense at all. But it is a very interesting way that humans put their stamp on the world.
I mean, Edinburgh is built on top of a volcano. Any moment now, just could go.
I did not know that. Now I'm terrified.
I'm sorry, have I ruined your Fringe completely?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I deal with anxiety every day. It's fine.
It's just another thing. And let's be honest, we haven't been short of things the last few years.
Oh, that's very true. Yes.
So again, another question you've probably been asked 1,000,001 times. This is going to be 1,000,002 times. What is your best and worst bit of graffiti you've ever found?
Yeah. I feel like I answer this question different every time because it's something new every time. It's just what has sparked my fancy. Because, of course, my favorites are the ones that I've brought into the show. I recently saw someone wrote just very big in a bathroom, "Fuck the Fringe." And I really enjoyed that. It was in a moment in which I was like, I've been having a very great Fringe, and I'm really, really grateful. But this is my 5th time at Fringe, and I've had some really like times of struggling and trying to get audience members in and flyering in the rain and all of that. And so I really just enjoyed that camaraderie of Fuck the Fringe. I also saw a little doodle in the Brooks Bar bathroom that said, "Stop worrying about your ticket sales and start worrying about this cat." And then a little doodle of a cat. So those have been my most recent favorites, which I loved very much. I don't know if there's any like worst piece of graffiti. I think the worst ones to me are when I can't read them and I just go, "Oh, that person's handwriting. Like, what were they trying to say? I really want to know their story." Yeah.
I'd like to ask a little bit about your Fringe experience, because this is your 5th year at the Fringe, but it's also my 5th year at the Fringe.
Yay!
We are Fringe twins.
Yay, I love that.
What's it been like getting to this point? Because you kind of blew up a little bit online. What was that experience like? And at this point, do the numbers mean anything to you, or are they just, oh, there's another 200,000 today?
No, they do mean a lot, and also I try and make them not mean so much to me, because it can be hard to, when you start to tie your sort of self-worth to social media numbers, it gets messy, and yet at the same time, it has helped. I've sold out all 3 shows that I've had so far, and the one that I'll do tonight is already sold out, which is incredible. Last Fringe, I had shows that I was canceling because people didn't show up, or I had 4 people in the audience, and I've certainly, I came to Fringe for the first time in 2017 with my partner at the time, who was doing a run at Pleasance and had British representation and sort of had this sellout run and was on the sort of long list for best show, and had this wonderful experience, and I saw as many shows as possible and did some late night spots, and I was just blown away by how much opportunity there is to create something here that is really authentic to you, rather than the way I was functioning before, which was trying to really fit myself into being what I thought was a good stand-up or a good musician, and realizing Fringe gave an opportunity for everyone to really find their authentic voice. And then I came back in 2018 to scope out venues and do more late night spots as I was writing my show. And then I did my first hour in 2019 with Just the Tonic. And it was a great learning experience. It was my first show, and I'm still using little parts of what I've learned in that show in this current show. And I certainly finally got over my stage fright during that time, but it was also rough, and I got some bad reviews, and I had some drunk audience members, and I flyered in the rain. It was just that very typical first year Fringe experience. And then I started writing the Bathroom Graffiti musical in 2020 for the Fringe. And I did 1 show of it, and then everything shut down. So then I sort of sat on it for a while, and the hardest part with that show is it's very audience dependent and interactive. And so when I brought it to Fringe in 2022 as a work in progress, it sort of was one of those Fringe experiences where I didn't have a lot of followers yet, and I didn't know how to advertise it, and some of my team kind of dropped the ball, and I had to pick up the slack last minute. But again, the show got better by the end of the month, and that felt worth it to me. But it wasn't until 2023 in September I decided to do an off-Broadway run of the show. And I did that because I had interest from someone with a theater that wanted to film it. And I went, it's not ready to film. I need to do it many more times. And how can I do that in New York? I'll do an off-Broadway run, and I don't have a lot of followers. How am I going to fill a 200-seat theater every day? And I started posting every day for 2 months. And I went very, very viral, which was very cool. And it ended up selling out my first run. I went from I think I had 11,000 followers on Instagram to 155 in the course of a week or 2, which was insane. And then I did another off-Broadway run, and then I did a tour, and I had some Tony Award-winning Broadway producers interested in the show, and I got an agent, and then my agent dropped me, and then the producers decided they cared about other shows, and then some shows didn't sell as well, and then I posted more and it picked up again. It's you think you reach this level and you're golden, but it's just you're riding this wave every time. And it's been very, very cool to return to this Fringe and sell out these shows. I haven't had to flyer at all, which has been amazing. I don't know if that'll continue, but fingers crossed. And also it just feels like I'm having a really interesting little victory lap of walking through these old places where I have all these memories of me crying or journaling or smoking weed or, drinking and commiserating with other performers and going, I'm having a wonderful Fringe, and I'm so grateful for the audience members showing up and singing along to my songs. That's such a cool experience. I've always wanted to know what that feels like, and now it happens almost every show. And I'm just I'm very grateful, but it's been a long journey, and I also know it will ebb and flow and continue to do so.
What is next for you after the Fringe? More tours? Maybe back 2025? Or is it too early to think about that yet?
I'm going to London right after this. I'm doing 5 shows that are all sold out, which is also very cool. And I wanted to do a longer UK and European tour. My fiance was supposed to come with me. He helped write the show with me and helps tech it and helps lug the toilet around because that's the most ridiculous set piece. But he is doing an off-Broadway show, and so I decided that's as long as I wanted to be away. And I'm going to go back, do some touring around the U.S., and come back, hopefully, for another larger UK tour. And I'd also like to film this show eventually with a slightly larger... My dream is that I will have a larger set design that really looks like a bathroom, do some projection mapping so it really looks like the things are written on the stalls. And then when each song happens, the stall doors will open and there will be a female musician in every stall to play the songs with me. And then the doors will close and I'll continue on with the show. And I would love to film it that way. I have to figure all of that out. And then the next thing also is I'm working on an ensemble version of the show in which we get a lot of other people's stories interweaving about why they wrote the things on the bathroom and how they interact with each other in this dive bar. And I think if I come back in 2025, which I don't know if that will happen, but I'm having such a great Fringe that I'm thinking about it. I think I'll probably end up doing a duo show with my fiance because we're a musical comedy duo together called 2/3 of a Threesome, and we have a huge roster of songs and we have to create some kind of show. So we might do that. He's also a great improviser, so he'd probably come back with Baby Wants Candy or Shamilton or something, and maybe I don't know, have a work in progress. But I do rail against the Fringe model sometimes of a totally brand new show every year. I think having watched this graffiti show grow from a work in progress and taking bits and pieces, I really like returning and continuing to work on one idea and really refine it.
I think I had Baby Wants Candy on the show 2021, wow. 2022.
Yes, they're lovely. They're a great group of people. My fiance AJ is part of sort of a split-off group called Schitt's Probe that does a improvised musical with a Broadway performer every Friday in New York. And so I think he'd probably come with them. And I just saw Shamilton, which is the same group. Yesterday, my friend Allie Gordon, who actually helped the rewrite for the off-Broadway run, is in it. I'm just so fascinated with people that can make up a musical on the spot. It's terrifying and magic and wonderful.
I'm so curious to see Shamilton. I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to. Is it good?
It's very good. I highly recommend. And it's a different show every night, so I may go back. They did Nick Cage yesterday. They wrote a whole musical about Nicolas Cage. It was great.
Anything that has Nick Cage on it has me sold. I would see that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was very fun.
You probably get this all the time. People saying, oh, you should go see this. You should go see that place. Now, I've got a bit of a recommendation for you for some good graffiti.
Okay.
There's a venue in Glasgow, and we love it. I'm not having a go at it. It's called King Tut's Wawa Hut. And it has the best graffiti, probably in Scotland.
Oh, I love that. I will have to check it out. I made it to Glasgow last time to do some shows at the Stands. I don't know if I'll make it to Glasgow this year. Maybe on the 26th when I finally have a day off. We'll see.
That'd be a good place to go. Where can people find out more about you and about the show?
Good question. My handle on everything is the Caitlin Cook. Caitlin is spelled the Irish way, Caitlin Cook. So follow me on Instagram, or TikTok is usually where I post new videos and tour updates. And then my website is also thecaitlincook.com.
Caitlin, it's been a fantastic joy to sit and speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Caitlin Cook, The Writing on the Stall, is playing until the 25th of August at the Pleasance Dome at 10 to 10 every evening. For more information, visit edfringe.com, and you can get tickets there as well. This episode was produced by @VCToria and by myself, Peter Greenwood. Until next time for the Peter Greenwood Show at the Edinburgh Fringe, I'm Peter Greenwood. Bye, everybody. Bye.